guys, so the Gotham finale is finally over and done with, and I gotta say, it was kind of long, and I was like, hurry up and get some good stuff, but man, those last like 5 minutes totally made up for the 2-hour finale. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm not gonna really review it like I usually do. We're just gonna talk about the really big topics that happened in this episode, because a lot of storylines, you know, freaking, there was a lot of shit going on, but at the same time, there are some questions that didn't get answered. And the first one I want to talk about is the whole Harley Quinn thing, because I thought we were supposed to get a proto Harley Quinn on freaking the finale, and we didn't see shit, but maybe we did. I know so many of you guys are already gonna be in the freaking comment section. You'll be like, I told you Barbara wasn't gonna be freaking Harley Quinn. I know it. I know everybody is ready to say that, but I want you guys to tell me that you 100% believe that Barbara is dead. This is Gotham, for God's sakes. They don't just kill people on Gotham. They kill people, they bring them back, and then they kill them again. That is what's gonna happen. I 100% do not think that Barbara is dead at all. I think they want us to believe that because, if I remember correctly, they did the same thing with Fish Mooney. She fell off a bridge. You would have thought she died, but she came back stronger and better than ever. So I do not think that Barbara is dead at all. I feel like Gotham loves Erin Richards too much to let her just go away this early. I think they want to bring her back, and I think they want to bring her back as Harley. Now, I know a lot of you are probably like, no, bullshit, but don't worry, for those of you that are crazy and don't want that to happen, and I don't want it to happen either, but I still think that they're going to make her Harley. I have 2 theories that could be happening in the next season for this show regarding her. My first theory is that we saw her get electrocuted and she freaking and got all dead, and Tabs thinks she's totally done for. What I think happened is, yes, she died, or she didn't die, but she got electrocuted to the point that it fried her brain, making her even crazier than she would ever be. And maybe somebody's just gonna find her on the streets, or they're gonna put her in Arkham because she's all wacky and she doesn't know what's going on, and she's just gonna happen to share a cell or something next to Jerome, and he's gonna be molding her in Arkham over the period of time that she's, over the summer or whatever, the break between season 3 and season 4. Also, it wouldn't surprise me if freaking Barbara somehow was maybe still alive on the streets and she ends up killing somebody that is named Harley Quinzel and takes that personality because she doesn't remember who she is, and then maybe that person just so happened to work at Arkham. And I know you're probably thinking like, what? That would be stupid. Why not just make somebody that works at Arkham already Harley Quinn? Blah, 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 blah. I totally agree with you. That's what I've been saying this whole time. But I still think that Erin Richards is going to be a part of this show. I think somehow or not, she has lost her memories. She doesn't know who she is. And she's just going to have a new memory created for her, and it's going to be Harley Quinzel, aka Harley Quinn. I doubt she'll be doing the whole psychiatry thing, but maybe it's just going to be a quick gimmick to get her to match up with Jerome, and they're just going to be like a crazy, like, couple of friends or whatever that, destroy shit and whatever. That's what I'm assuming is going to happen. But for those of you who hate that theory, like myself, I don't want Barbara to be Harley. I just feel like they're going to make her that. This is my other theory that they could do with Barbara, because I don't think she's dead at all. We freaking saw Butch get shot at the end of this video in the head, point blank, and the motherfucker is Solomon Grundy. But we're going to talk about that later. Anyways, so like I said, I think with Barbara being alive still, because I 100% believe that, and I know I've said that a million times, but I'm just trying to put that in your head because some of you believe she's actually dead. I think the other thing that could happen is that maybe she lost her memory or whatever, and she's gonna not remember being crazy, and maybe she's gonna get back to being a normal person, and her and Jim are gonna hook back up, or something along those lines. I hate that idea because I feel like that's what they did at the start of season 2, if I'm not mistaken, right? And, she tried to, like, be friends with Jim again, and then she went all crazy again, and that's one thing I've really hated about Barbara's character, is the switch back and forth of, like, just make her crazy, and I think they finally had something with her, and then now she just got her brains fried. So that's why I think it just makes more sense for her to be Harley Quinn that way, then going back to like maybe she's gonna be good again and maybe she's gonna get back with freaking Jim and that's gonna make her blah 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 blah. So that's the only other thing, because if Barbara isn't the one that has Jim's kid, then there's never gonna be a Barbara Gordon, aka Batgirl, in this universe, which I don't think that's something they care about because they're never gonna get to that point. Like, it's just never gonna happen. So maybe they don't even care about that storyline, so they can just go ahead and use Barbara now as this other character and make her Harley Quinn. I don't know, but hopefully we will find out over the summer, because, you know, Comic-Con's gonna come out next month, and if Aaron Richards is on the panel, maybe the producers are gonna say like, oh yeah, maybe she'll come back or something like that. We're gonna have information spilling out over the next few months up until the next season, and if Aaron Richards just shows up on set, you guys are gonna know she's there for a reason. Moving on from Barbara to the person that killed Barbara, let's go ahead and talk about Tabitha and where she's going to go from now. We saw a lot of the like, oh, I'm not ready to do this, I'm not ready to do this during the whole finale, and it took Butch getting a bullet in his brain, which we'll talk about later, to actually finally push her over the edge to kill Barbara. And that's what, you know, that's what happened. I mean, honestly, I think if Barbara would have been like, no, Butch is fine, or he lived, you know, I think Tabitha would have been like, all right, cool, we can get past this and all that jazz. But, you know, she thinks Butch is dead, so bada bing, bada boom, she ended up killing Babs, which I don't think she's dead. But you know what I mean? And then we saw later on in the club that she's actually going to be the apprentice, or like the instructor, teacher person of Selena, because Selena wants something more in life. She doesn't want to just keep surviving. And now we kind of got the start of Catwoman. She got her whip. I told you guys a long freaking time ago that she was going to get her whip from Tabitha. And we finally got that. You know, she learned how to do it, and Tabitha's like, oh shit, you're pretty good at it. So we're going to see her train. And this is what's going to happen, is there's always these little storylines that happen at the end of seasons, so they can go ahead and say that the person has grown so much over the, you know, the break, you know. So when the next season comes around, they could say like, oh yeah, you've been training for the last 6 months or the last year, and it just makes sense because there's been so much time since the last episode. So yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see. And what it looks like, instead of having the whole mob boss thing going on, you know, as it usually is, it seems like next season maybe we're gonna have the battle of the clubs, because we're gonna have the Siren Club, and then with Oswald showing all the instructions, we're gonna have now an Iceberg Lounge, which is fucking awesome. But let's go ahead and let's slow it down real quick. Before we talk about the Iceberg Lounge, we have to talk about this whole thing between Edward and freaking Penguin, because it was so awesome. Like, I loved that the person that beat Ed was freaking Penguin, because Penguin finally showed how badass he is, and that's what I've been missing this whole season, and he finally just came out on top like he always does, and he bested freaking Nigma. And I thought it was awesome, because Edward was just getting too freaking smug for my taste. I was like, fuck you! And he should have did exactly what he kept telling Penguin, and he was all like, oh yeah, this and that, although it would have never happened because we found out that there was no bullets in the gun. But Ed should have took his own damn advice and just killed Penguin on the street, but he wanted to have the symbolism of killing him again at that spot, so that spot made sense for him, and he wasn't a freaking, how do you say, his whole persona wasn't based on a lie, like Penguin said. But it just felt so good for Penguin to come out on top of that, because, oh, I loved freaking Riddler, but he was getting on my nerves with just how he kept thinking he was so badass, which is very Riddler. So, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I'm not saying the character was bad or anything. He was just annoying me personally. And I was like, come on, Penguin, like, do this. And I just love how he was just bested. Like, and that always makes the Riddler stronger. Like, in the comics and stuff, he always wants to get better. But he always gets bested. He's always just, he's a really good guy. And Batman's usually the only person that does it. But still, it's just really awesome to see that happen in the show. And now he's a big old popsicle. And that is where the Iceberg Lounge is going to come from. And I can't wait to see that. Like, I am super excited about that, guys. Because if you know anything about Penguin, everything goes down at the Iceberg Lounge. That's where all the villains go to meet him. That's where he does all his business. That's where a lot of crazy shit happens. And in the middle of it is usually this iceberg thing with actual penguins swimming in a pool and stuff like that. So I'm going to be really interested to see how crazy they're going to get with that club. And Edward Nigma is supposed to be in the ice in the middle of that. So you know at some point in Season 4, somebody is going to freaking flame him out of there, and he's gonna become the Riddler again. But we'll see what he does. So this Riddler versus Penguin thing is not over at all. I'm pretty sure Ed's gonna be pretty pissed about being frozen for so long. But like I said, the whole Edward versus freaking Enigma thing was amazing and might have been my favorite part of this finale because it just felt so awesome to just see them going at it, like back and forth, and that's all that really mattered. And it was a good way to end the season and for Penguin to get like his confidence back especially after Fish died, you know. And I wasn't expecting that right away. I kind of thought she was gonna die because I didn't think they could keep paying Jada Pinkett Smith to keep coming back. But the way she died was really quick, and I was all like, holy shit, I was not expecting Gordon just to stab her out of nowhere. So we can finally say goodbye to Fish Mooney. Remember, she was never a part of the freaking Batman comic books. She was a character created just for this show. I don't know if she's been put into the comic books now. I want to say maybe she has, because a lot of characters like that get made on TV shows find their ways into comic books. Like freaking, if you look at Arrow, Felicity and Diggle have made it into the Arrow comic books. I don't know if they're in Rebirth, but they were in New 52. But yeah, so shit like that happens. So Fish Mooney may or may not be a comic book character nowadays, or maybe in the future. But as of right now, she is officially off of Gotham, and we don't have to see her anymore. I started to like her at the end, but she was actually never one of my favorite characters watching this show. Now, let's go ahead and talk about Lee. And I'm going to say this whole episode, I hated Lee. Like, she was annoying. Like, she was just annoying this episode. Still sexy, of course. But, yeah, I couldn't stand her anymore. Like, just the way she was like, come on, Jim. You know you want to, Jim. Me. Like, it was starting to annoy me. I liked it the last episode. I was like, all right, I can get down with this. But then it was just, like, too much. And then I hated the damn breaking of the cures twice. Like, come on. I like the way it played out. I like how he ended up saving her, how Butch was the one that saved him with the 2 things on the back of the badge. That was really awesome. But I just hated how drop things, and then she stepped on it like she knew automatically and all that jazz. So it was just like, ugh, like it was that, I don't know why, it was really annoying me. Sorry, I got the burps like crazy right now because I'm so excited. But no, and honestly, like I was just really annoyed with Lee, and now she's gone. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't return next season, or if she returns like after the finale, like after the mid-season finale, or whatever they want to call it, the winter finale, because you never really know when these things are going to take their super long breaks anymore. Or she might just be gone. I don't know. It did set up really well for Lee to just not be on this show anymore, and I don't know, and that sets up for, you know, Gordon to actually talk or, you know, do it with other people. Speaking of Gordon, he didn't really do much. I mean, he did a lot in this episode, but nothing that I was like, oh, crazy. It just seems like he's gonna finally get back to being Detective Gordon now. We're gonna get done with the virus stuff. You know, it seems like next season might be all about going back to like the craziness. If he's gonna fight anybody, it's gonna be ninja people. We're not gonna have to worry about that freaking Tetch virus anymore. So I kind of like that. I mean, I want this show to get back to just like the roots of like detective shit and having to solve mysteries and stuff like that. And if it's just the League of Assassins, who I think is going to be the main villain for next season, that'll be pretty cool. And I think we can just get back to a little bit more crazier detective episodes and not having to worry about people getting thrown through walls and all that kind of shit, which I really enjoyed this season. This season was amazing, but I liked like the arc with Jerome, which was really cool. Like, he was just insane. It wasn't like, you know, people were making him insane. They were just, you know, a group of crazy people. That's the kind of stuff I like. I love the supernatural stuff, but a lot of it could be too much at times. But jumping back to Lee, and since we already talked about Barbara, I was kind of pissed that they didn't meet up together. Like, I think it would have been perfect to finally have Lee be on the same, like, how do you say, level as Barbara. Like, Barbara would have been so crazy. I was hoping that was gonna happen, or maybe it would have been like this crazy, like, you know, Barbara was gonna get killed by Lee, then Tabitha showed up, and then Tabitha wanted to kill Barbara at the same time. Maybe she was gonna let Lee do it. Like, I was kind of hoping something like that was gonna happen, but I feel like the whole Lee going up to, like, the Siren Club to tell Tabitha, like, oh, I'm gonna kill your girl, or it was useless. Like, I didn't think they never met up. All it did was add freaking, like, oh, I heard that your girlfriend wants to kill me, blah, blah, blah. That's all freaking Barbara ended up saying later, and it had no purpose. I was kind of hoping they were going to meet up, but nothing came from that. I'm super off track because so much happened in this episode, but I will say Jim did get pretty gangster when he took all of that blood out of Mad Hatter. Like, that was a lot of freaking blood. And if you guys didn't catch on, Mad Hatter lived. I know some people might have thought he died, but he lived. If you paid attention at the end, they said he was going to be alright, and they're taking him back to Arkham. So don't be worried. I would have been pissed if Mad Hatter would have died. But yeah, he's the only, he didn't die. He's good. We'll probably see him next season, which I think we should. But now let's go ahead and talk about Butch, because man, was I like, no, when he freaking died. But apparently, you can get shot point blank in the head and live. I've actually heard about stories about people actually living when they get shot in the head. So it was believable for me. But homeboy got shot right in the head. He must have a thick skull or something like that. So he didn't die, and we found out, once the moment that, you know, that the nurse lady was all like, don't you know who this is? He's a gangster, and he's blah, blah, blah. He's like Butch Gelzine or whatever. He's a gangster. Freaking the doctor was like, oh, he must have changed his name because his chart says freaking Silas Gold, a.k.a. Solomon motherfucking Grundy. That is right, we got our super Grundy that we've been waiting for. I had theories it was going to be Mario. It made sense that it was going to be Mario. But this is even better. I'm so glad I am wrong on this one, because now my boy Butch stays in the show, but he's going to be Solomon Grundy. That means he's going to be super powerful, and he's going to be able to just fuck shit up. And I love this. I think this is a solid damn thing that Gotham is doing right here, because it makes sense. He was a gangster. He's dead. He had a freaking metal hand. I don't know how he's going to get his hand back, but we'll see. Maybe he's just super crazy and they put his hand back on and that's what makes sense. I don't know. I'm going to be really interested to see how he's going to be Solomon Grundy, but that's it. We have our Grundy and we don't have to worry about it, but we still didn't really get a clear shot of who our Killer Croc was. I know a lot of people thought that guy from the beginning was Killer Croc. I thought it was Killer Croc, but some people were like, no, it's not Killer Croc. So maybe we didn't get him. We were supposed to get that. And we didn't get our damn Harley Quinn that was supposed to be in the finale. Maybe they cut that because they want to replace her with somebody else. I don't really know. But I still can't believe Gotham on some of the things they say, because they say we were supposed to get stuff this season and we didn't. But we did get Solomon Grundy. Now let's get to Bruce freaking Wayne, because I know a lot of people may have loved the ending or may have hated the ending. But I'm okay with it. And I know a lot of people are like, no, they're freaking rushing him to be Batman. And Batman's not like this. They're messing up Batman's origin. I know there's some of you out there that did exactly that when you saw that ending. But I'm okay with this, because he's not going to be Batman. Yes, he saved somebody's life. I totally get it. It reminds you of Arkham Knight or whatever, the ending there with the crazy bat person. But he's not going to get a costume next season. If he does get a costume next season and it's the freaking cowl and everything, that's stupid, Gotham. Don't do that. But I do think he's going to do what he just did and actually start trying to help people. This is probably going to get him closer to Selina next season, or maybe it's going to cross their paths a lot more. I'm okay with this as long as next season he's still trying to train more and more and more. And I don't know, I think maybe he can get kidnapped again by the League of Assassins and he has to train to be super badass to get out of there. I could be down with something like that. I was kind of hoping he was going to leave to get that training at the end of the season, but we kind of saw him stab Alfred, which was insane. But with the freaking Lazarus pit right there, I wasn't even shocked. I was like, oh shit! Had that happened, and then we had another episode next week, I would have been like, oh crap. But still, I would have still thought, the Lazarus pit is right there. He's gonna do that. So I knew Alfred wasn't gonna die. That was still pretty crazy though, and that's what brought Bruce back to being normal. And that's what Raz, or Raish, as he pronounced it, although there are literally freaking interviews out there where the whole cast is calling him Raz. Whatever, that debate will go on forever, just like this Harley Quinn thing. But we saw freaking Raz, yeah, I'm still gonna say it, say that, you know, it's even more true that the prophecy is that Bruce is going to be his heir. He will be the next demon head. And I thought it was just pretty awesome. I thought it was pretty awesome to see Raz on this freaking episode. And we know he's the villain for next year. I mean, they did that at the end of season 2, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't we get a little tease of the Court of Owls at the end of season 2? So that's just kind of what Gotham does. It teases their next villain, which is totally going to be Ra's al Ghul and the League of Assassins. And I think it fits. I mean, we're not going to have to worry about super powered stuff besides, you know, the Lazarus pit. But I think other than that, it's going to be pretty awesome. And that's going to come into effect next year somehow, or the next season, I say, because Bruce knows what it does. It heals people. And somebody's going to die next season, and he's going to get thrown in the Lazarus pit or something like that. I would not be surprised to see that happen. But again, I was not upset with this ending at all. I thought it was kind of cool. It was nice to finally see him, you know, standing on top of a building, looking all like ominous, like, oh, I'm watching over the city. I told you guys for a bunch of times, I feel like Bruce, this is the perfect time for Bruce to start trying to solve some mysteries or something like that, you know what I mean? Like, just, like, try to find some things on the news, and he's all like, I'm gonna go try to make a difference, Alfred. I'm gonna try to start solving mysteries. This is the perfect time, season 4, to have Bruce start doing detective work and just doing it on his own. He knows how to fight a little bit. He was training. We don't know how much training. I mean, he got training for like 3 episodes, so it's not really that big of a deal. But we know he can actually fight a little bit. But I would like to see more detective Bruce shit in the coming season. So that's what I'm holding out for. I'm not really bothered by this. I will be super bothered by this if he does get a cow or some kind of like crazy costume to start going around and fighting people. But yeah, as of right now, totally cool with it. I'm pretty sure some of you aren't. Let me know why in the comment sections down below. But the final thing I want to talk about, and this is something we can all talk about because I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are going to have different knowledges about things or about this season than I do. But the season ended without answering some questions. Number 1, where the hell is Clone Bruce? We never got that answer. We don't know where the hell he is. Did he just die somewhere? Is he going to come back next season? Is Bruce going to fight evil Bruce? You know, what's going to happen there? Because nobody really explained that, and we never saw him die. So I'm assuming we're going to see him again next year or in the next season, and maybe they're going to fight to the death or something like that. Or I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens. He could be Bruce's rival. He could be Bruce's rival for the next season with the League of Assassins kind of happening, but on the side, we got crazy Bruce, and he wants to, you know, maybe get back at him for what he did to Alfred or Selena or whatever. So that's maybe something they're saving for next season, but we did not get that closure for what happened with that damn character, because he was dying. Like, how long is he going to be able to survive on his own? Number 2, what was the whole deal with the Harley thing? We literally heard producers talking about that and just talking about the Harley thing. Did they change this last minute? They were like, look, people are really going to hate it. We see this guy JUICEbox ranting about it all the freaking time. Like, what? Like, I'm really interested to see what's going to happen there. I still think it's going to be Barbara. I don't think Erin Richards is dead. Her character, I should say. And I think they really enjoy her and they want her to come back. And maybe they're doing their own thing. They've said this a million times. They're not fun. It's like their own universe. So I think they could do this. I know a lot of you guys are complaining about age and like, it won't make sense. And blah, 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 blah. Like, it doesn't really matter for them. Like, they're just trying to stay on the air. But I don't know. If you're worrying, like, you're so crazy about like the age thing and like how Harley Quinn's supposed to be younger than Jerome, then explain to me how the hell a 16-year-old or something like that, because Jerome's like in his early 20s. I'm gonna say he's like 22. How the hell are they gonna have somebody younger? Is she gonna be like 18 working at Arkham Asylum? Like, let's be real. There's no way, 1, she's gonna have her damn medical degree, and 2, nobody would let an 18-year-old work at like a freaking asylum with crazy maniacs that are probably like sexual assaulty people, rapey, and all of this other crazy murdery shit. That would just be the stupidest thing ever. I know it's Gotham, but they still ain't gonna let no 18-year-old work at an Arkham Asylum place, you know what I'm saying? Now, if she's the same age as Jerome, like maybe like a year younger, and she's an intern working on her degree for freaking psychotherapy or whatever, that can make sense. But still, it's not going to fit your whole thing. But are you going to be happy because they're younger by 1 year and all of that jazz? Like, I know a lot of people are, like, caught up on that whole thing. Like, you can't be blah, 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 blah. Like, come on, guys. You know, we know this show is super different. We just saw freaking Bruce save some people from a gun, and he's like 15 years old. But like I said, we'll find out when Comic-Con comes around, because they're going to start releasing a lot of information about the upcoming seasons. I'll be covering that. I'll be there. If I can go to the actual panel and get in there and get lucky enough to actually ask a question, I will ask about Harley Quinn. Trust me, 100%. Thirdly, what happened to Valerie Vale? She got shot, left Gordon, and never came back. Like, not for one episode after she was all like, we're done, we're not together anymore. Like, she never came back, ever. Like, she is the worst reporter ever, especially when the world is collapsing and all this stuff, and she never showed up again. Like, she was just a waste of a character this season, a new person for freaking Gordon to bang out, and that was it. She was gone. Like, her character made no sense. She should have just come back at some point. Will she be in next season? I don't know. It's just really interesting to me that Valerie Vale never returned. But those are just some of the questions I have. I'm pretty sure you guys have some questions about what's going to happen or what we didn't get answers to during this season. I can't just really think of, I'm pretty sure I'll think of a bunch of stuff while I'm editing this. But yeah, I want to know. It's not like The Flash. It's not as many questions as The Flash. But I do think there are some things that we didn't get answers to that maybe they're saving for later on. And we'll find out. But I don't know. I really enjoyed this season. Like, this finale was awesome. It was kind of slow at points. I was like, hurry up. I'm tired of talking about this virus and blah, blah, blah. But the last hour of it was pretty solid, like what would have been the finale episode. And just seeing that last 5 minutes of just like them going through what happened with Butch and like what happened with the Iceberg Lounge and Catwoman being born, like that made up for a lot of the finale for me because it just set up for season 4 to be really badass, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen. But I do want to know your guys' thoughts and opinions on this whole finale and this whole season, to be honest, in the comment sections down below. And of course, you can always debate me on the Harley and stuff and all that stuff, but I'm telling you, I don't think she's gone, and I'm really interested to see if you guys actually think she's dead. But that's it, guys. Remember, if you ever want to support this channel, you can check out the Patreon like these awesome people did, or you can just do the old school thing and give this video a thumbs up and share with all of your freaking Gotham buddies. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for all things nerdy and geeky on this channel. As always, I'm your host, JUICEbox. Remember, when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself something. Have I made a little dose of juice? See you guys next time. Bye!